Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 105 of the Strip Poker Night at the Inventory podcast. I'm your host, spnanon, the CEO of United Inventory. With me is my co-host, Nord, the Eternal Player 2. And we have a new guest this evening, Lil David, whose previous attempts to come on were denied. He lacked pre-authorization. Nord, please say hi first. I hope we can talk about all these new and upcoming projects on the agenda in a civilized manner.
I don't know where to take this. Am I supposed to shoot you now? Is that what we're doing?
That's it. That's the bit.
Hello, everyone. I'm that guy. You know me by now. And if you don't, you will soon.
Dated. Immediately dated.
Is that ominous enough?
Nord, you were supposed to introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm Nord. I've made many a thing for this game. I also act as a dev mod. I'm the one that got the Sleepover event rolling after being pestered several times by spnanon. We'll get into that in a little bit.
And again, like I said before, we have a new guest, someone who I thought was on previously. He's very active on the dev scene and in the social circles. So I just kind of assumed that he showed up at some point. But no, he's actually a new face. We've talked about his work a lot. It's Lil David. Been very active over these past 2 years at least, probably more so. Go ahead and tell us what you've worked on for this game, the Kyouko Saga, and everything beyond.
Yeah, howdy. Yeah, so I'm Kyouko's dev. Kyouko Toushino, specifically, because there are multiple. But before that, I was also the dev for Wario on the April Fool's roster. And that's mostly it. I've done some code stuff in the background just a bit, but that's kind of the long and short of it.
You made some card decks as well, right?
Yes, the Mario-themed one based on Super Mario 64 DS and New Super Mario Bros. And it's not just in the game. It's not in the game yet, but there's a merge request open as well to add a more standard pattern as well. So look forward to it if it's not in the game yet.
Oh my god, cards based on Mario 64 DS with Luigi as a dealer?
Perhaps.
Topical. Relevant. Immediately dating this episode. So.
Yeah.
Yes, and Wario as well. Well known for his love of riches. Let's see. I mean, what exactly possessed you to make these characters? They're both sort of off-the-wall choices. Fat, ugly bastard, and then also a middle schooler.
So, I guess I'll talk about Wario first. So, Wario was literally just a Kisekai experiment at first. I was like, I wonder if I could make Wario's face in Kisekai, and I did, and yeah, so that happened. That's it. And the only reason I thought to make Wario's face is because this was late 2021. The newest WarioWare at the time had come out. And so I was just thinking about him a lot. And so, yeah. As for Kyouko, though...
I think a lot about Wario, too.
Who doesn't? As for Kyouko, though, Kyouko is literally just that Yuri is by far my favorite anime. And I've been watching it nearly yearly for a long time now. And so I think about it a lot. I think about Kyouko especially a lot now that she's in the game. But like, I was thinking as I was playing the game, like, you know, Kyouko would probably enjoy this. And so in like shortly after joining the social server, I was like, let's try and make a Kyouko model. And this was long before Wario showed up, but that's gone through several iterations. It went through several iterations before she went on testing, and it's gone through another one now. So that's all there is. I just really love Yuri and thought Kyouko would be fun. There's not much more to it than that.
She's gotten a lot of alt skins. We've praised your artwork efforts on many occasions, and we're going to do so today because you did participate in the Sleepover event, first inaugural, which will be the main topic of this episode. I do want to mention, though, you seem to share a bit of a destined fate. You know, your dev career is tied to Nicole, who appeared in episodes 92 and 93. She was, because you both made like separate Kyokos, one from Danganronpa and one from Yuri, and they were like added at the same time on testing, and they both were on testing for a long time. And then them both got to main basically at the same time as well.
Mm-hmm.
Funny coincidence. You have any insight on that? Or it's really just as a coincidence?
So the two arriving on testing at about the same time was mostly coincidence. Kirigiri being added prompted me to finish up Kyouko Toushino for testing and put her up 2 weeks later. But the two of them getting added to main at the same time, that was mostly premeditated. It wasn't like we're absolutely going to do this. It was more like if it's convenient and they're both about finished at the same time, and that turned out to be the case. And so it's like, LMAO, let's submit them for QA at the same time. But we had a little challenge between ourselves that whoever finished their sponsorship requirements first would go up slightly sooner. And so that was Kirigiri by just a small margin. And so Kirigiri was put up for QA a minute or two before Toushino was.
It did give us the science fiction double Kyoko, which I did appreciate. It's a fun time. They are both excellent projects, and as stated, we will talk about one of Kyoko's many alt skins. And we talked about her last time on 103, for the 2024 Halloween event. And we have an upcoming event here as well. Real briefly, though, before we formally introduce the Sleepover event, Nord, do you have anything to shill in the host Shilling corner? I do not, because what I have to talk about, what I've done recently, is just the Sleepover event. But do you have anything?
I have two things to shill this time. The first is that to try and help developers get over the fear of trying to use the newer epilogue editor, I say newer, it's a couple of years old at this point. I recorded myself rambling for like 40 minutes. I say rambling. I tried to give an instructional overview of how to use the epilogue editor and put it up on YouTube for anyone to be able to use to hopefully understand what's going on. Because a lot of making epilogues, like everyone has ideas for, giving their special character an epilogue. I think everyone thinks about that. But the tool itself is a bit hard to use if you haven't messed around with it for a few hours, or if you have used similar software before, because a lot of it's like making a PowerPoint presentation. But hopefully people get use out of that tutorial video and make some more epilogues in future. Even just short and simple ones, I think players really appreciate just having one.
Where is that located, by the way? Where is that pinned?
I just pinned it in the two different epilogue channels, in the development server and in the community server. Some people have already watched it and said it was informative. But yet to see any actual new epilogues come out. But they do take a while to make.
I have not seen them yet, but I will take a look. It has been a while since I played around with the editor.
A lot of it is really just me going over the essentials for what someone would need to know if they wanted to put a scene together. So yeah, hopefully we see more epilogues in future. I think someone joked that I've made something like 70% of all epilogues by content in the last year or so. So yeah, I hope some developers just get over that initial, hurdle of trying to figure out how do you even use this, let alone actually put together the story. Apart from that, I also want to give a shout out to the praise jar that has opened. Hopefully, well, maybe this episode comes out before Christmas, who knows. It's a little tradition on the community server where there's just an open anonymous form to put in some praise for something about the game or the community or specific members that you like. I've been filling it in every day, trying to chip away at everything I can think of that needs a bit of praise. Just because it can be very easy to get complacent and not really feel like you have to state that you like something. And so you just sort of forget to make it known, like, yeah, this is good, I like it. Or I like you, or, I like this person. They're a good part of the community. We have a lot of people who chime in like a couple times a day, or just pop in to say hey and see how everyone's doing. So hopefully everyone gets the recognition they need.
Well, you certainly do. I think you definitely received the most praise. At least last year you did. So you do this wacky thing where you go around helping people instead of just sitting in your little corner jerking off to your waifus from 24 years ago. Apparently people don't appreciate that for some reason.
You don't need to call out little David like this.
Excuse me, my waifus are only from 16 years ago, 2008.
By the way, in terms of epilogue content from the previous year, I think Nami's is longer than all of yours put together.
That is true.
But a number of epilogues, sure. All right, anything else you want to mention?
Not really, because the only thing to mention is the Sleepover event, which is what this episode's all about. Yes,
I'm not going to let you off the hook quite yet. I will let you explain the nitty-gritty in a minute. But yes, as alluded to, I think in episode 103, SPNatI, for a long time now, for many years, has had a pretty consistent rotation of yearly events. There's been, I think Valentine's is the first one throughout the year, and then there's Easter, kind of, obviously it depends on when Easter falls, and then April Fool's is in there as well. There's the summer event with all the swimsuits, there is the Halloween event, and there is the Christmas event, which is coming up soon at the time of this recording. It should be up and running by the time this goes up. Did I miss anything? I don't think so.
I think that's it, yeah.
Right, and those have always been pretty well supported. We've every year we get a decent little crop of new alt skins and new characters. In the case of April Fools, there are some dead spots throughout the year, and there were some costumes that were kind of sort of leaning in towards the theme of sleepwear, pajamas, and they usually got placed like in Easter or just like as an evergreen, or maybe in Halloween if they're like sort of a character that the opponent is dressing up as. So there have always been they're sort of like miscellaneous, right? Like they were able to be shoved into other events, but eventually we noticed enough of a pattern that some people started to, we started to get some rumblings of why not have this new event, the Sleepover event, pajama event, where characters would wear that kind of thing. Now, there's no obvious place to put that during the year, but we then had the thought to sort of spread it throughout the year. Other events are just 2 weeks annually. Why not make this, 5 days here, 4 days somewhere else, and sort of fill in some of the dead spots? And that is what has been officially established. At the time of this recording, the first instance of the Sleepover event has ended. It was held for a full week, so a little bit longer this time, just to introduce people to the concept. But the last few days of November, I think from the 27th onward, or maybe the 28th, and then up to the first couple days of December. And I'd say it was a big success. We got a total of, 8 costumes. It looks like some pre-existing, some actually just straight up made for the event, and we'll go through all of them. Some of them were pre-existing from other events, but quite a few of them were made specifically after the announcement. Again, the mods, as I mentioned last time, were kind of waffling between, we don't have quite enough costumes to make this an event, but if we do eventually announce it, maybe people will make some more. And I, for one, since I wanted to participate in this, I kept telling them, like, hey, just announce it, and I'll make it a priority and make costumes for this. You can trust me. And eventually they did, yes. They gave, I asked for 2 months, and in the spirit of compromise, they gave me about 5 weeks. to make 2 costumes, and I'm not the fastest artist in the world. So I made both of them in time. We will discuss them towards the end of this episode. I submitted them to the game with about 7 hours to spare before the event went live in the first time zone that it was eligible for. So
there are actually, it looks like 9 costumes. One of them got sort of added on at the very end, and that was Sucrose's one. We had forgotten to port it over from Halloween to the Sleepover event. And then, in the same manner as how Nami gets highlighted during the summer event, Caitlin from Pokemon Black and White has been highlighted as well, because she just wears sleepwear everywhere she goes. That's just how Elite Four members are, I suppose.
Have you played those games? Yeah, she's always sleepy.
I have.
I would think so, yeah. But I said that I barely made it in before the deadline, but actually, one last character, Toph, actually made it in a couple days into the event. But in any case, we will go through all of these now, and in the spirit of fairness, we're going to cover all of them equally, even the ones who were not made or who were existing in the game before this sleepover event was announced. But we're not going to do them in any particular order, other than sort of the later editions coming last. But Nord, would you like to explain a little bit about sort of the detailed or mod end implementation of this event and how it's going to be run going forward?
Yes, so the idea for how we spaced out the sleepover event was to try and fill in any sort of event dry zones throughout the year. This is particularly true in sort of like the middle of the year. Every event, apart from April Fools, will last 14 days in total. So the way we've split it up is into 5, and 4 days for May, September, and November, respectively. This first trial period was a week long, so that people who are busy had enough time to give it a try and hopefully be inspired for when the event next comes around. So in May and September, it starts on the last Wednesday of the month and lasts for 5 days. So that's Wednesday through Sunday. For November, because it's right between Halloween and Christmas, it has the 4 days, so it starts on the last Thursday in November, so that's Thursday through Sunday. I actually discovered that you're able to set up event schedules to do this sort of thing automatically. So going forward, the game should just handle that by itself, even if we all mysteriously disappear and are unable to maintain the game ourselves. But apart from that, I think there is an appeal to having an event that shows up more than once per year, with Toph showing up fashionably late, as seems to happen with a lot of her costumes. She only got something like 3 days of visibility, but it now means that when May comes around, people will get another chance to play with her costume instead of having to wait the entire year.
Yes. So to reiterate, it is at the end of May, September, and November are the 3 slots. So yes, so mostly towards the end of the year. You'll have to wait a little bit if you missed this time around to see the sleepover costumes next time, or you can just download the game. But yeah, look forward to that. And I'm sure every so often we'll get some new costumes. I know you have some in the pipeline, Nord. Not that you didn't contribute this time, you did. But I know you mentioned making some more, but we'll maybe talk about that later. So I think it's time to get into it, and each of these will be shorter than a full-on like character coverage that we normally do, since it's just the costume. But especially for the ones that we personally made, because all 3 of us contributed to this event, we'll give ourselves a little more time to discuss what's going on here. But we will start off with surprise, surprise, a Just Kidding character. And even more surprise, got an alt costume. Can you believe it? I think this is his only contribution to the event this time, but of course he had to get in there. It is Caskett from Mega Man Legends. I do not know if this is based on something. It seems like it would be. She seems to have plenty of costumes and different looks in various forms, gacha games, and just the games themselves, probably some promo art. But yeah, she's holding a cute penguin plushie and not quite onesie, but some pretty tight pajamas and a nightcap that's really holding her hair back. But yeah, she's a cute character and she's got cute pajamas. So as usual, Lil David, our guest, will go first, and then Nord will give his opinion, and then I will finish things off. Lil David, what did you think of Roll Caskett, Sleepy Mechanic, I believe it's called?
Cozy mechanic.
I think it was Cozy.
Cozy Mechanic. I'm sorry, I blew it.
Yeah. So
there's 3 gifs of Roll Caskett on tenor, and the rest are actual caskets.
Overall, I enjoyed the costume a lot. I think the pajamas are very cute. I like the cap. I don't know either if it's like if this is something she's actually worn or if the cap is just like a reference to something, but like it kind of looks like eyes, sorta.
Looks like she's got a little thing on her head, like a little creature.
Yeah, exactly that. The thing that I really like about it though is the penguin plush. I love the way that she like holds it in so many different ways, and the way she's so expressive with it. It's a huge shame that it's like the second thing she takes off. If it were my choice, I wouldn't have had her ditch it at all.
So it is in the game.
Yeah, it is in the game.
Nord found a screenshot.
Uh-huh.
Makes sense. It seems like something that they would have included.
Mm-hmm. I also found it really. It's been a second since I played Roll, so I forgot about that Roll has really big hair. So when she took off the hat, I was like, that was really funny seeing her hair just like burst out like that.
That's one of my favorite like low key anime tropes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you did it with Yusei, but that's for next time. Nord, what did you think? Oh, look at her breakfast egg and sausage.
I found this GIF. Solitaire put this GIF in of
breakfast texture.
Video, video game food. But this one's really cute. Got a cute little penguin doll there. She has a lot of like bits of incidental dialogue, which I think help really with any event costume. Having the character have dialogue that like directly or indirectly relates to their costume is a big plus, because it lets you show a different side of the character. In her case, she talks about, if I lived and worked alone, I would not wear pants, but I can't even sleep without pajamas on because Mega Man will burst into my room and be like, come see this. Just really cute in general, but that's true of Roll all the time. One of my favorite characters.
Cute repurposing of her stretch body language to be hugging the plush.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yes.
That's clever. I like that.
Good stripping poses and good look for her being like partially bottomless first.
Oh yeah, no pants.
No pants, no slippers.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very fun, very cute.
I do use this as an opportunity to sort of reevaluate characters too, if I haven't played them in a while. I do quite enjoy Roll in general. The cute penguin, the penguin plush was very cute. Kind of under-detailed, though, especially for something that is supposed to grab your attention. Like, there's no squish. It never like really deforms when she squeezes it. So it does just kind of look like a block, like it's made of plastic or something. Maybe it is, I don't know. That seems awkward to sleep with. Also, it has nacho feet. Those are just triangles.
I think I noticed that while playing, but neglected to say anything about it.
The flippers are also just triangles. I feel at liberty to criticize this because I've made Pyoro, who's a similar shape, and he actually has shading on his body and limbs. Be better. Just kidding. I expect more from you. It is cute, though. Let's see. Yeah, the hair being tamed is a really nice touch. Because I thought about that about halfway through playing with her. It's like that hat is putting in a lot of effort. And a pretty sexy thing as well. You see Again, I always talk about having some like unique images throughout this strip sequence, and having no bra underneath the pajama top and unbuttoning it is a nice look, very unique. I like it.
Yeah, that's a really good pose. The one where she takes off her panties also is really good too.
Last thing I want to say, this is more of like a general writing advice thing. Seems like she has a lot of lines that seem like targets, in quotes, when it's not her turn. This is just a general thing. I imagine, therefore, minor lines. When a character is taking off a minor piece of clothing, she starts going into her own world, her own dialogue, and like explaining things about her setting. That's kind of like old-fashioned writing advice that was popular back in the day. Because it's hard to think of things to say for minor clothing. I would actually go against that now. I'd say that seems really weird that she's explaining this to nobody when it's not even her turn. I would actually suggest the opposite. Just be quiet. Just write silent lines. You should really be explaining. If it's not your turn, if you're not the focus, you're not being targeted, you should usually keep yourself to like allusions, vague references, and otherwise, like save the really detailed stuff for targets. But what do I know? I haven't made nearly as many characters. So time to move on, I think. Roll, very good overall. And here we come to the first costume made by one of us. Unless you pitched into any of these others, and you may well have, Nord. I think this is the only one you made, right?
For this event, yeah.
Can never be too sure after the Jenna debacle from last time. Yes, it's Meia from Golden Sun. She's been a little quiet lately, but she got pajamas and a nightcap. Sort of a take on the outfit she had in her epilogue as well, because you see her sleeping and dreaming and having a wet dream. But you can take the reins on this one. This is Meia Golden Sun sleepwear.
Yeah, this is entirely original design. Golden Sun, never really swaps out character sprites at all. I came up with the design for the epilogue and then thought, well, around that time people were still floating the sleepover event as an idea. So I thought, yeah, I could turn this into a costume to sort of bolster the initial set of costumes for a sleepover event. I only gave her a little bit of dialogue for it. I just really haven't really had the inspiration to update Meia that much. But it was fun to make this costume, give her a bit more attention. I feel bad that it took this long for me to just do this, but for her initial removing item poses, I had her just use Synergy to, take off her shoes and socks with the ghostly hands that any party member from Golden Sun can summon. Could have done that in her default costume, but so I don't really remember why I never did. I'm sure I had my reasons.
Oh yeah, in Smash, the Isaac Assist trophy, yeah, he makes a giant fuck off hand.
Yep.
I remember that. So they can all do that.
Nord, I think I was in call with you when you realized that you could make her do that, and I think you said that you straight up just forgot at the time.
Probably didn't forget, probably just was like, nah, I shouldn't. Maybe I'll make it as an alt thing. And then I just never did make it as an alt thing. But, it was a very convenient way of getting around the fact that the dress was all custom and I did not feel like, doing the time crunch to make it properly flex and fold whenever she has to kneel down.
Coward.
I know. I'm a coward with a million things to do.
David, what did you think of her?
I found the costume overall very cute. I love that long ass night dress, and I especially love the sprite of Fizz with the nightcap and the candle. Very silly. I just it's a little unfortunate because the game I played with her, I didn't get to see much of it just because she lost early. But what I saw was very nice. I actually thought that the epilogue was added because of the sleepover event and not the other way around. Shows how much I know.
That's where she does her famous anaconda pose.
Of course. But I did notice this out the gate, and I'm not gonna knock you for it because I understand why it's like that. But I think it looks really silly that her her bangs are still like visibly kind of folded over under the cap.
I mean, I actually went through the trouble of pushing them in slightly so they would better fit in the cap. But
Did you?
realistically,
Oh, I didn't notice.
Yeah, but realistically, they should be even further in. I know.
Yeah, they should probably just be flat against her forehead.
Looking at the cap now, the brim is actually like wider than her head, which I know is just like a Kisuke default thing.
Yeah.
That can happen if you fuck with the sliders too much.
The
It doesn't know what to do.
I'll be completely real and transparent. The hat was added last minute to give her another layer.
Yeah, it's pretty unchanged from the default Santa hat. That's what it actually is. Nice job on Fizz. Yeah, really putting your money where your mouth is. I know you roasted me for not giving Pyoro any summer accessories, but Fizz has the nightcap and the candle. Very nice.
Puro needs to be wrapped in Christmas lights, okay?
I second this motion.
Meia doesn't have a Christmas doll.
Well,
Get on it.
now you know what to do.
Fraud.
You've got 4 days or something left.
Oh god. I already did. Jura has one.
God.
I'm gonna shill her again.
I have to finish mine. Ugh.
All right. So for Meia, I didn't have much to say about the costume because it was just like generally good. There's not much to say. I mean, it's not like from canon or anything, right? So love butt, so cute. That was one of my notes. Irrespective of the alt skin, I had to write it down again.
Yeah.
Real.
I did not remember the Synergy strips, her using and Synergy and glowing all the time to take things off. It seems like a weird flex to do that, just to take off your slippers. But apparently that was a time save on your end from not having to manipulate the clothes. I get it. I do. My stripping poses took about as long to like Photoshop and stuff as all the other like standard ones. So I get it. But yeah, just a good costume all around. I just have some minor comments on the writing in general. This is one thing, her word choice, not necessarily wrong, but I noticed she used the word, she was talking to Toph. Oh, you made a phallus with her little accessory thing. I guess that is a pretty good word choice, but I think that's the first time I've seen a character use the word phallus. This is a general thing. It's something that a lot, like nobody does this, but you should really use targeters' names when you are targeted. Please use their name. I know it sounds awkward to shove it into every line where you're replying in like the must strip, but it really goes a long way because the player's attention is drawn to you for losing. So when you were replying to someone, they then have to go, who are they talking to? So it really helps to have the name in there as they scan it. Oh, I can quickly dart my eyes over to who's talking and who's starting the conversation. Honestly, it's a bit of a flaw with the game UI and the way we write targets, but it's kind of baked in now. So at least do that. And also, that is a bud that won't quit.
I did have to go quickly through, well, not quickly, it took me a few hours. I'm thankful I saved the original, like, broken down layer version of these butt poses of hers because I had to redo her hair for them. Because in this alt...
I was going to say her hair is a little different, right?
Yeah, her hair is normally up in a ponytail.
Oh.
It's very nice, though. Very nice. I wish I could be that indulgent, but unfortunately they're more than just, like, 48 by 48 sprites or whatever. Very nice overall. Anything else to say about Meia?
No, I think you have a valid point about the way I wrote targets when I was making her.
I mean, this is something everybody does. I think I'm the only one who's like a real stickler about it. I'm the only one who's been a real stickler so far about silent lines. Well, speaking about being the only one, here's YunYun from Konosuba, who has had this alt skin for a while. So we'll briefly mention it. This was not specifically added for the game. This is YunYun Wakey. Again, not sure if it's from anything. Konosuba seems like the kind of thing where they all show up in sleepwear at some point. But David, what did you think of YunYun Wakey?
I didn't get too much, like... I don't have too many strong opinions on this one. I think that the detached sleeves is an interesting choice for sleepwear. That's for sure. But otherwise, I did like her strip order, though, overall. I think the shorts before the shirt got my hopes up a little bit, but but still, enjoyed it. Enjoyed it nevertheless. I was very accepting of the panties with the translucent front as a compromise. Other than that, not a whole lot to say.
The outfit is actually from Fantastic Days, which there's a couple of Konosuba games that give all of the characters possible like costumes for these events, including this screenshot, which shows that Megumin and Whis could have some as well.
I believe Megumin's have been shown in the anime as well.
Yeah, it has. What was I going to say? I also wrote down that I thought she was going bottomless first when she took off her shorts. So it was actually a surprise when she lifted the dress and was underwear still on. But overall, very cute design. I think most of the dialogue is unchanged. Or maybe it was just who I had her paired with. She said most of her normal targeted lines with. I would have to do a game with her and someone she doesn't talk to see any sleepwear specific dialogue.
It's been a while since I played with YunYun, so I don't fully remember, but I didn't notice her say anything that seemed outright event related. Or costume for that matter.
I think that also comes from like when she was actively being written, the most. The sleepover event didn't exist. So this would have been just whatever it was before. I think was it Evergreen or was it something else? I don't remember.
I think it might have gone like Evergreen to Sleepover to Evergreen to Sleepover. Because I know that it's been changed back and forth a little bit.
I could be misremembering, but I think having a bunch of actual lines for your alt costumes is a bit of a more recent expectation. I could be totally misremembering on that, but
I think you're right.
I think outside of like intro lines, a lot of alt skins never really got too many. That was my main criticism as well. It just didn't seem like too many alt lines specific to the actual costume. She rarely referenced her own clothing in general, even even as if it were default. I didn't really see too much of there, so I guess there wasn't too much to adapt. She has a bit of an invisible bra thing going on when she actually gets her boobs out. Let's see if I can find a quick sample of that. She's doing the Crimson Demon pose. A little bit of that going on. They seem pressed together for no reason. Oh, she's crying. She's embarrassed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, YunYun. You're very pretty. I'll be your friend. And also showing her age, she does the, wait, this is strip poker thing? So yeah, it's been a while since I revisited her. And yeah, that was a rude awakening. Don't do that.
Generally speaking, 90% of the time, don't do that. With YunYun, it's hilarious and on brand.
I guess so, yeah. That actually is pretty funny for her just to be a total failure and drop her spaghetti everywhere. So maybe a pass, but don't use her as an example.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're in a bit of a rough patch here, where we're going to quickly go through two more as well, because these are the other two that I think were not especially made for this costume. So the no man's land in the middle of the episode here. The next one is Sucrose, another one who had an existing costume. Sucrose, the harmless sweetie, sweet dreams, and she is in a onesie. So yes, she is from Genshin Impact, a onesie, and then there's like another onesie underneath. Oh my god. Okay, it's just a shirt, basically.
Yeah, it's a nice shirt under.
The panties. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of which, I should mention, if you're not thrilled about how these costumes were pre-existing, I should give you a little reference for the future. YunYun did have the lace panties with the translucent part and the little pubic hair peak. Look forward to that towards the end of this episode. But yeah, let's talk about Sucrose now. David, what did you think of Sucrose Sweet Dreams?
Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you. I did not actually play a game with her because I completely forgot that she was added to the event. But I have...
That's unfortunate because I also did not play a game with her because I forgot she was added to this.
The good news is I did do a quick game.
I have played with this costume in the past, though. From what I remember, the concept was that she stayed at home and was distributing candy to the trick-or-treaters. And so for that, it's a pretty cute look. I like the test tube strapped to her leg still. I think that looks rather silly. Other than that, though, I only really remember Sucrose being cute.
I have to imagine this is an alt skin in Genshin Impact. It seems like they would do that.
Wouldn't know.
No, none of us are Genshin plebs.
No, I've not been suckered into it. I don't.
No, you've been
think
suckered
it's
into Blatra.
Haven't we all?
Electro Sweep.
Flatro Sweet.
I don't think there's a alt costume like this in Genshin. I don't know if Genshin has alt costumes in general. They generally get their money by just making new characters, I would assume.
Nord, what did you think of Sucrose's alt skin?
It's very cute. As I mentioned earlier, it was sort of added on with only a few days left to go because we just sort of remembered, oh yeah, we were going to port this one out of Halloween and into the Sleepover event. She's got plenty of dialogue that fits the Sleepover vibe, even if it's mostly about herself. From when she was written, the Sleepover event didn't exist, so it's mostly just her talking about herself rather than commenting on the Sleepover event in general, which, to be fair, most characters don't, because, again, still relatively recent. Sucrose is still very, very cute. She's got that awkwardness about her in a charming way rather than a cringe turn-off way. She's very nice. I just like her a lot.
Oh, I know that you like her.
Oh yeah.
I have a sneak suspicion, again, foreshadowing for a future episode, that you will be studying from the template that Sucrose provides quite a bit. Maybe even collaborating with the writer of Sucrose.
Ah, that's what you meant. Perhaps, maybe, yes. For context for what he's referencing, I recently announced...
Unless you want to keep them on the edge of their seats, waiting for next time. It's up to you.
Yes, I'll just say here that, I already announced it in the server, but I'll be collaborating with her writer to make another character in future. So we'll see how that goes. But yes. for her costume, it's a decent. It holds up decently well, despite previously being Halloween for, I think, 2 years.
Look, Namas, I'm sorry, man, but this was an existing costume. I'm sure I talked about this before at some point in one of those lightning rounds from a couple years ago. There were 9 costumes, and you can fit 4 characters in a game, so someone's getting left out, okay? I'm sorry. It had to be her. I'm not really into nerd girls. It's just the way it is. She is very cute, though. Finally, speaking of House Tavel that Namas was a part of, here's another character who was recently adopted, and I think got a couple updates, at least related to making this event function in the Sleepover event, but not a lot other than that. It is Senko Bedtime Tea. Senko the Helpful Fox wearing a fox mask, a kitsune mask. So she's wearing a mask of herself. And I believe there was a hullabaloo about this when we covered it on the podcast because she has the animal ears tag and the fake animal ears tag as a result of it. Or maybe that was another character. Again, Senko's not really my thing, but I did actually play a game with her. David, what did you think of Senko?
So Senko is just already a generally cute character, and her outfit definitely adds to that. It's just when I played with her, she has the highest player count out of any of these costumes, and you can feel it. Because she's got a lot of small things to remove before anything interesting comes off. And I'm not going to fault the costume too much for that, because this costume predates the Sleepover event by like 2 or 3 years or something like that. But that aside, it has been a second since I've played this one, and I'd totally forgotten she takes her panties off underneath her robe, which is a very fun aesthetic. The open robe is also very, very good.
Yes, I wonder if Roll took inspiration from that.
Perhaps.
I do see it looks like that makes an actual appearance in the show. That's nice. And it's on brand for her, very traditionally Japanese. Anything else you want to say?
No, I think that's about it.
Take it away,
I didn't think it was
no, go ahead.
Quite humorously on the nose that she had a fox eye mask of all things.
Yeah. Senko is just a very adorable character as always. I think this costume was evergreen for a while, and now it's Sleepover event exclusive, which it does restrict where you can play with it more, but it also means you get more attention drawn to it when the event comes around. Because evergreen costumes can't really be highlighted like that. But for this costume, he's, as I said, very cute, a very wholesome and safe character to play with. But you were right in that she sort of dominated the test game I did with her. Especially because that's one where I had Meia there, and Meia only has, 3 layers?
Yes.
Yeah, in the two test games I ran for the event, I was careful to balance the layer counts between the two games. I think I had about 17 per game, and so the first one was like Senko and 2. I think it was like Senko. It was Senko, Toph, Meia, Jura. So it took 3 characters with a low layer count to match a 3-character game to test the other costumes.
I think you just got unlucky. Like, I played with them, and they're at best difficulty the whole time with such low layer counts, and they can hang with a high layer character for a while.
Yeah, Senko didn't dominate the game when I played with her. It's just I just noticed that she lasted a long time.
Did you have anything else to say?
I did. She did end up being like the 3rd one to lose anyway, but 2 other characters were completely out before then. So we mentioned that we thought YunYun went bottomless first, and turns out she didn't. Senko here actually does do that, and I really love the tease of the entire, I guess, layer where she doesn't have any underwear on and she's just talking and posing like normal, but you can
see that
infer the hint of
yeah, very good look.
You see it's really good, and the way she covers herself with her tail when she takes them off, I think, or is it when she takes off her
I think it's as she takes them off.
She kind of does it intermittently in the ensuing layer, but it is very nice. It's very clever.
Yeah, for sure. Overall, very good.
So yeah, that's clever. This is another character that I was kind of revisiting because she's not really my thing. I like him a little taller. She didn't have a ton of alt lines. Again, it's a little bit older. And as for general writing advice, her masturbation lines, they seemed a little too long and wordy. I don't really like that. She hasn't gotten, it may seem pointless to say that because she hasn't gotten too many updates, but she has technically been adopted by My Man's, I believe, the creator of Mari Setagaya and Fluttershy. He also adopted YunYun, I believe, so he is in a position to potentially, follow this kind of advice. Although I believe he's had limited dev time recently. Overall, though, very cute and clever costume. And with that, I think it's time to move on to the home stretch. Kind of. We're moving into the main event in terms of our own contributions, because first off, we have Kyouko Toushino and her sleepover alt. So, David, I will let you explain in just a moment, but this is not exactly... We're done with the costumes that were pre-existing from earlier in the game, before the sleepover event, but in a bit of a transition. This is a sexy tomato, the tomato onesie that she wears, which has not really been in the game, but it has been a work in progress for pretty much that entire time. As far as I'm aware, it was kind of offline for quite a while as you were working on it, as far as I'm aware.
Yes.
But yeah, it's finally in the game proper. I don't know what exactly you were waiting for, if there was something not working, or if you were waiting for this event, but I'll let you explain.
Yeah, so, first of all, its name is different now. I've kind of, in the time that it was offline, I've kind of reevaluated my concept for what I want the costume to be perceived as, and so I changed its name to Spirit Animal, because that's kind of the context in which it was introduced in Source, and I think it better suits the way she considers it.
Folder name is still Sexy Tomato.
Indeed. I can't change that without breaking targets, so I'm not gonna.
Speaking of names, this is called Sexy Pose. This should be called Dab.
Well, I mean, it's a different pose for each stage. So what do you want me to do? But yeah. So this was added during the Valentine's Day event in 2020. See here, she was added in 22. So Valentine's Day event in 2023, and then it was up all the way until Kyouko went offline, and then it stayed offline until when was it? November? Like last month, I think. And so the reason for that is just because of the whole art update thing. I had to redo a whole bunch of poses and all that. And when word got out that there would eventually be a sleepover costume, there would eventually be a sleepover event, I was just like, I'll put this on the back burner until the event is more imminent. And so that's really all there was. It was just me giving priority to other costumes which were going to be added sooner.
So what's the deal with her and tomatoes?
She, at one point in the anime and the manga, she gets a set of 4 animal onesies for herself and her friends to have at sleepovers. Except, instead of an actual animal, she has a tomato. And that's about all there is to it. She's just weird like that.
Okay, well that explains why she apparently referred to them as animal pajamas in a line, and I got confused as to what that meant. That explains it. Anything else you'd like to say about the costume and the process, since it took a while to make?
Not really. I mean, actually, yes, I do.
Oh, thank God.
So in the middle of July, like last July, well, part of the reason it took so long is because in the middle of July, I updated Kyoko's codes for that costume and also her hoodie costume at the same time to use the newest version of Caskett. And that ate up a lot of my time and kind of burned me a little bit. But what I got out of it, though, was that I was able to add alternative images for 2 stages where she opens the thing up if someone else is exposed. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but
I mean, that's pretty neat tech. I've always praised Kyouko for having like pretty neat stuff in the back end.
Oh yeah, you updated her so she uses pose sets, right?
yes, as part of the... Well, I updated her to use pose sets before even doing the art update, I think, but yeah, so this is yet another use of... Or no, I think it was during the art update, but yeah, this is another use of them.
Nord, what did you think of Sexy Tomato? Was it indeed sexy?
The sheer, raw power of the tomato costume returning shook me to my core. Very, very, very
The animal magnetism.
Very fun, very silly, a little bit sexy, question mark? You can tell she's having fun with it. The posing is very top-notch. I appreciate that you continue the joke that I started with, where for each of his old costumes, whenever he thinks about one of his friends and they show up, they need to have a relevant alt costume as well. And because you copied that for the sake of a joke, if you pair Kyouko and Yuno together, you now have to make 2 sprites of Yui every time.
Indeed. I enjoy doing that, though.
That's her in the panda outfit?
Yeah, that's her in her panda onesie.
On the plus side, that does mean if someone ever decides to make Yui, they'll have a couple of costumes to start out with, won't they?
They'll have a costume for every one that Kyouko has. Speaking of that, though, that tomato or that panda onesie, total pain in the ass to make because of how the pipelines have to be set up.
Oh yeah, because of the different colors.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can kind of see it with the jagged outlines on her legs.
Yep.
I got to be honest. I still don't know how pipelines work. I haven't had a use case for them yet. I mean, maybe I haven't. I just did it the hard way. I don't know.
I will be honest, though, I don't have much to say about the costume beyond it's a lot of fun. Kyouko is silly as always. The posing is really top-notch. not just for this costume, but for anything you do for Kyouko. And she has a little bit of dialogue for it, I think.
It's mostly stripping dialogue, but there's a little bit of incidental stuff.
Yeah. Just fun details to make it a well-rounded experience playing with the costume. I don't really have any critique personally.
That's fine.
I
appreciate it all the same.
I know you sort of were also a bit limited because, well, not super limited, but you had already put the costume in the game, so you were having to work around what you'd already done for it.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised actually how little of a limitation that felt like.
Fair enough.
I was perfectly happy to ditch anything that I didn't want to include for this new version of it. And so I dropped 3 layers. I threw out a bunch of the old dialogue and replaced it with new stuff.
What,
no problem.
Did she have the same layer count before?
Yes. Originally it was made before layer skipping was a thing.
Huh. Did you get extra layers deleted from her files then?
Did I get extra layers deleted from her files? No.
For the sprites. If she skips a layer, are those old sprites still there?
I added I added the costume using a proper merge request, so all the old sprites are deleted.
Yeah, that's okay. Sorry, just a very technical thing that suddenly came to mind.
Yeah.
That's your mod brain. You can't sleep. My critique was going to be, that she didn't seem to have too many alt skin lines. Yeah, specifically for the costume. Although the poses were very nice and detailed, all those stripping. I mean, you posted it, but all the folded up onesie, especially, that's not easy to do, and all the different layers of deconstructing it. But I appreciate the effort that went into converting it. Especially with the new technology in mind with the layer skipping. So yeah, admirable.
Thank you.
This is another character I was revisiting. She seemed very down bad, is what I wrote down here. Mostly for Jura and mostly for girls. With kind of surprising sincerity. I criticized her when she came on testing in Maine as sort of feeling too young, feeling too jokey, and not really getting into the game. So I guess you've corrected that. She really wanted some of that tongue action. She was really putting the Yuri and you were Yuri.
Yeah. When you
age her up, I did introduce her as a middle schooler, so more power to her.
When you talked about her at first, it messed me up real bad, but I sure took it to heart. So
really, I didn't call you a piece of shit.
No, but even so, you didn't say anything bad about it or about me, really. But it still hurt a lot. That's part of the reason why she spent as much time as she did offline. But I don't blame you for it. I needed to hear it, and it made her better overall.
Man, I have such power to just destroy people. I never knew what. The power my words held. No wonder I'm not getting anything for the praise jar.
I'll be sure to write for you. I'll be sure to write something about it for you.
But you know what? I think she's really improved from that point. I mean, it does come as a bit of a shock, but it's definitely better than her not being into it. So yeah.
Yeah. I like her much better that way.
I looked up what's the word in Japanese for tomato. Turns out it's tomato.
Yep.
So she is saying tomato in that gif. I guess that makes sense. It fits into the Japanese phonemes pretty well. Tomato. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I believe that's all I had to say. Again, this character I was kind of revisiting because like I say every time, she's not really for me. But it's kind of funny. None of these characters, for the most part, have really been for me. I mean, I do like Meia, and I do like Roll, but they're all very they're in fitting with the sleepover theme. You'd expect kind of. I mean, they're mostly kind of petite and short and pretty harmless, right? Not too fierce looking. The kind of people you would cuddle up with at a sleepover. The kind of characters you'd expect to show up in their pajamas to a sleepover. And then there's Meia and Jura standing there. These are my contributions to this event. I really browbeat the mods over this, specifically because out of all of their costumes, and I have been adding a lot of alt skins. I added, last year I gave Jura a Christmas alt skin. I redid, with some help, Meia's Cupid one for Valentine's. I gave them both swimsuits in summer. I gave Jura, or really Barnett, an outfit as well in May. And these are the first ones for Meia and Jura, the sleepover event, where they actually, like, on screen in the show up in them, wearing them. So yeah, these are canon sleepwear. Like Barnett's costume is canon, but these are the first that, like, they're not from promotional art, they're not from like another franchise or anything, or some kind of merchandise. They actually do appear in these. Barely, I should add. Meia's is like one shot, which here I'll post the image that I had that I posted on Reddit itself. That shot you see of Meia, that, like, there is like promotional art, like character art for her in that, but that is like the one and only shot where she's like actually wearing that. And then Jura does have some promotional art in this, and that promo art that you see there with Barnett, that's the only time you see her in those. So that's purely promotional art. She doesn't appear in that in the show. That's my one reference I had. She wasn't even standing up. I had to invent some of it. But yeah, Jura does make like one appearance in that. It's a couple shots, but only one scene actually wearing those pajamas. And then she's also in a trading card as well.
And Meia's just in her jumpsuit in that scene.
Yeah, she didn't bother to wear the chemise in that scene, but she does have it, so I could include it. So yeah, I was really excited because it was finally like canon costumes for them, and I really wanted to make that happen as soon as they announced the sleepover event, and we had to lock horns over it. But yeah, this is Meia Sleep Chemise and Jura Luxury Night. So called because that's actually the name she suggests for their ship. They have to name the ship early on in the series, and it doesn't win out. Nirvana is what's chosen, but she goes with Luxury Night. So that's what this is called. So yeah, they're just in their pajamas, Jura's obviously very fancy, and she's got a whole stole and nightdress and slippers and everything, and Meia is very low key, just in a pretty basic chemise and panties. But yeah, I had to bang both of these out pretty quickly, and I'll explain a little bit more, and I'll let you give your opinions afterwards. But let's see. Yeah, they skip layers, so it's a lot like the sleepover or the summer swimsuits that they have. Meia's down from 5 to 3, and Jura's down from 6 to 4, and they have a best AI the whole time because of that. Let's see. And they also got collectibles as well. All their alt skins have collectibles if you play with them. Did you get those, by the way?
Yes, I now have the cup of coffee that you can wear, quote unquote wear.
Yes, I thought that was pretty funny. I mean, it's because Jura counts her drink in the summer, so it's like, oh, hey, Meia likes coffee. Why not just add a cup of coffee? So yeah, you can just drink that and count that as a layer. You can also get a big fuck-off assault rifle from Barnett. I think that'll complete the gun collection. That's 4 of them now, so you can show up totally strapped in just your underwear with 3 handguns and an assault rifle.
And a cup of coffee.
Yes, and your cup of coffee. The Duke Nukem.
Can't wait to break out the cup of coffee into random characters and bug report every single one of them that doesn't get mad at you for taking off a hand item.
Let's see. So yeah, I do think it's kind of funny, right? Like, these are not characters you'd really expect to have a sleepover or to appear in a sleepover event. They did seem kind of out of place next to all the other characters that got featured. They're like a head taller than all of them.
Yeah.
They're a lot more fiercer and fighting type of characters. But yeah, they're there. They're hanging out at the sleepover. in like the 1 bits of sleepwear they actually have. And before I let you speak on it, I should mention one last thing. If you haven't noticed, they have pubic hair, both of them, or really all 3 of them, including Barnett. In a shocking turn of events, people couldn't believe their eyes, especially the devs, posting in screenshots when they were playing with them. But yeah, they all have basically the same style of pubic hair. Like, it looks like a couple days or a little bit more of like not shaving. So the thing with Meia and Jura being shaved is, I mean, that's just a personal preference of mine. People meme about it and say I have like a huge distaste for pubic hair. I really don't. It's fine. I don't really have any strong feelings about it as long as it's not like crazy. So like this, for instance, playing with it like doesn't bother me at all for them to have it. So I figured, hey, why not give that to them? Because it was a total invention on my part. There's no like canon information on whether or not any of them shave. I mean, with the way Barnett's leotard is, it seems like she'd keep that under control. But aside from that, like their culture just seems very focused on like being sleek and shiny, and so it wouldn't surprise me if shaving is pretty common. But at the same time, you could totally justify having them having a tasteful amount. So I figured, why not throw people a bone? And if you like them shaved, then every so often this event will come around and you can play with them, and they'll have a bit of pubic hair. And you can see Jura's got the lace panties and a bit of a pubic hair peak, and Meia has the plain white panties, kind of the opposite of before, where Meia in the Cupid alt has the lace panties, and Jura in the Christmas alt has the plain white panties. I don't really know what to do with underwear besides that. I'm not really an underwear guy. I'm not really the panties guy, as we say. But yeah, that's something going on. So I believe that's pretty much all the creative decisions I made. So I'll let you take the reins. Lil David, what did you think of Meia and Jura, the sleepover alts?
Yeah, so I'll start out right away and say that I appreciate you adding the pubic hair, because I do like that. But I also really like having costumes that play around with it. Like the first one that comes to my mind is Gloria, I think, her summer costume, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that does it. I'm doing it with a couple of Kyouko's costumes now, and I'm gonna do it with more, because that's just a really fun.
I mean, I just think it makes sense, like why not change it up a little bit for an alt skin?
Mm-hmm.
And like a sleepover, like that seems like kind of more laid back, casual. Maybe they're not quite as zealous about grooming themselves for a couple days. So I mean, I just don't even acknowledge it. I just don't even the way they act in the alt skins. It's basically like, yeah, I just have a bit. Why? It's not like I ever didn't. So it's like an alternate reality almost. But yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that makes sense in universe, but I also just generally like it out of universe, and I appreciate that they don't really call attention to it, so it just kind of feels like an alternative style. That aside, I don't have a whole lot to say about Meia that relates to the costume specifically. I do have more to say about Jura though. Like, I like who was it earlier that had the translucent front to the panties. I like that Jura has that as well.
It was YunYun.
It was YunYun, yeah. And overall, the costumes are very nice looking. You nailed it for having only 5 weeks of dev time. It's so far it's taken at least 6 for each costume, and that's to do one of them and not 2 at once. So, way to go.
Thank you. I mean, I did have clear ideas in mind, and it's like, all right, I gotta get started, and I knew about how long it would take me to do each part of it.
That's all I really have to say about the costume, but I'll give some of my impressions on them, since I haven't played with them in absolutely ages. Like, I think since before the art updates.
What?
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't been playing a whole lot of the game as of late anyway, but, like, especially Meia and Jura, because they just broadly don't really appeal to me anyway.
Oh, well, the feeling's mutual.
Yeah, well, evidently.
Now I know why you're not on the podcast before.
Cry more. So I played the 2 together with Senko, as I mentioned earlier, and I really I really liked their basically diametrically opposed reactions to her, to Senko. I found that intensely amusing. And a particular standout line from Jura. So, having played her, I've kind of come to a realization that there's a fair bit in common between Jura and Kyouko, but also a lot that's different. I won't really get into it because it's not really relevant, but there's one line where Jura lost, and she just goes like, "Barnett, I lost," and I could literally hear it in Kyoko's voice, going like, "Yui, I lost." I found that extremely hilarious. But anyway, oh yeah, the falling asleep, that was good. I like that.
That's actually that's not a sleepover alt thing. She always does that.
I wasn't sure, but I can see that. But yeah, in any case, very cute.
It's because there's
like
a
that.
shot that's what the emote is taken from, where they're both asleep next to each other.
That's fun.
I should point out, hopefully you noticed, but I did actually write a full slate of alt skin lines, or like stripping lines, like any major events like game start and stuff. You may not have seen all of them because if you played them together, because they just talk to each other a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But if no one's targeting them, they do have same for all their other alt skins. They do have special lines for that.
I think I saw a lot of that. That's my usual approach to costumes as well. I mostly focus on new stripping lines, since that's just how Kyoko's stripping lines go. On that note, though, them talking to, I do just want to say this, because you've talked a lot about them being like quiet when they want to be, and all of that, and I saw a lot of that, but like also the two talking. This is probably because they were together, but the two talking to each other felt like, I don't know, a little bit of a contradiction, maybe, because they were like chatting it up half the time, and then other times they'd say nothing at all, both at the same time sometimes, and so that just, I don't know, felt weird a little bit to see.
Because no one else does it.
Yeah, well, yeah, but just like them being silent at the same time, and then also being extremely talkative sometimes with each other. I don't know. It just seemed it felt like that. Okay, yeah, no, okay, yeah, no, I know what I wanted to say. It felt like they were dominating the game dialogue a lot, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it I don't know. It just felt like it was a bit different from what you usually preach, and again, that's probably just because the two were together.
I mean, the way I see it, I figure if people put them together, it's because they want them together and they want them to talk. So
yeah, that's fair.
If you want them to go outside their comfort zones, then take them outside their comfort zones.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one more tiny thing. They were sending out targets towards Senko during their forfeit sequences as well, which I would probably just consider a bug more so than anything else, because it seemed weird.
Yeah, I just keep them. I don't really care. I know some people don't do that during masturbation, but I'm like, whatever.
Fair enough.
What an odd thing to say, devoid of context.
Real.
Nord, what's your take on? I mean, unless you had something else to say, David.
Just one last thing. I liked that boobs and butt type pose that Meia has. I'll see if I can find it. But I liked how dynamic the pose is, with like the shape of her body, or like that.
She has a couple of them.
I can see that. Actually, in my notes, I was like, pubic hair is good when she actually lets you see it, because like there were a lot of poses where she was turned away from the camera. Yeah, that one.
This is probably what you mean.
Yeah, that's exactly the one I'm talking about.
Well, you know what, man? Again, I feel like if people are picking her, it's not for her boobs. So
yeah,
this is her thing.
Yeah, I think, yeah, this is straight up just a matter of taste. I'm not a butt sort of person. I'm more of a front sort of guy.
Nord, you were also a front sort of guy. What did you think of these two?
I also took note of how dynamic that one pose is, that one you just posted. But
it's been there for a while. It's actually
yeah,
from the anime, the ending credits. It's a shot or a pose that she does with her suit on, but
yeah, another chance to play with Meia and Jura I kept them separate because I was actually aware of the fact that they would dominate the game talking to each other for most of it if I put them on the same table. So I deliberately split them up. Starting with Meia, the Chemise is very well done. The wrinkles and folds of it look really good. It has that sort of appeal to it. I don't, just for being a very loose-fitting dress, I don't know if there's any poses where like one of the straps slips down at all. That could be an opportunity for some titillation. Ha 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 ha.
That'd be a huge banger.
Yeah.
It's there. It's sort of a blink and you miss it because it's part of her stripping.
Yeah.
Does it on purpose, but I could definitely add that in.
I support it. I love poses that do that.
She does have a good sprinkling of dialogue for the costume as well. It's just funny to think that she's still sort of in her usual, like, serious demeanor towards the game, but also treats it as a game, as a sleepover event. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I just think it's a fun character quirk of hers that it never really feels like she switches off of work mode. I don't know if that's what you were trying to convey with how she acts with this.
Kinda, yeah. For the swimsuit and a little bit of the Cupid, I try to make her for those alt skin lines in a bit of a better mood. Because she likes exercising and things, or, the romance is in the air. Sleepover, it's night, it's kind of dour in comparison. So I was like, whatever. Let's just keep her kind of cold.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think I can see what you're talking about with Meia being a lot more warm in the summer. Because I also noted down that she's very serious still.
Yeah. I know she's in like casual wear, but like even in that one shot where she's in the chemise in the show, she's like very reflective and introspective. She's not cracking a smile then, so why now? Jura's kind of doing her usual thing though.
I mean, that one seems like she's all alone late at night, brooding about something that's happened in the plot.
That's exactly what's going on. So what else did you think?
Trying to think of the best way to word it.
Oh dear.
Well, no, it's a positive thing, but it's just, how do I convey, in a way that I've said like 5 or 6 times before this year, yeah, Meia's good, man, good job. I do have to admit, I like Meia, but Jura gets my almonds activated a lot more. The same is sort of true here, so I have a bit more to say about her.
You're a front sort of guy.
It's true. Here it is, luxury night.
I think there is more to say about Jura, probably. She's putting on more of a show. She's dressed up for this.
So one thing I want to immediately comment on from like the select screen that you see this, Barnett having like upgraded to an outright assault rifle is funny. How many different guns are left in Kisuke at this point for her to use? At what point are you going to have to start?
I think there's an AK-47, and that's the only one she hasn't used.
At what point are you going to have to start asking people, hey, can someone draw a new gun for me?
Well, that's I don't expect to make any more alt skins. I think they have enough, and I've pretty much represented all that's reasonable for them and kind of relevant to them. I don't think they need to have something for every event. Give other people a chance to shine.
But spnanon, consider this: Jura in a bunny suit for Easter.
Yeah, but it's like, why? Like, what does that have to do with her? I only made the Cupid one because it was Phonebox's idea, and he did the work for me. If not, I probably would have done something else. But yeah, I actually do go into Photoshop and edit those guns for the collectibles to make them more like what they seem, because that's like the one in Kisuke there is not the same exact gun she gives you. There's edits made to it. Same with the CZ75. But anyway, yeah, like because in Kisuke it's like a 1911 or something. Anyway, yeah, what did you think of Jura?
I like her costume a fair bit more, just conceptually, because of the way she has the I don't even know what you call it. The like jacket thing.
There's a couple names you could go with, like a shawl. I called it a stole, mostly so I can make puns about how she stole this stole.
Fuck's sake. Fuck's sake. I don't know if it's I don't think it's an individual sprite here, but I love the dress fall. If you know what I'm referring to, where it, like, she lets it fall off of her body.
That is another blink and you miss it pose. So I guess what I'm saying, the takeaway is that I should make these all individual poses so you can look at them.
Yes.
It is its own pose, but it fades out.
Yeah. Love that. Love the red underwear. Very striking, very good. And as you mentioned before, it's a type that she hasn't had before. Yeah, there it is. That pose, 10 out of 10. Awooga. Steam coming out of ears.
Yeah, that's a banger pose.
I didn't really pay attention to Barnett's outfit. I probably should have as well. Jura was just so captivating, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I said that sarcastically. That's literally how it was.
That's what Jura would want to hear. And honestly, I didn't put too much effort into Barnett's. I just took a quick look at it with the one reference I had with her lying on her stomach or on her side. So I didn't even know what her belly looked like, but that's what I went with.
I notice even Barnett has hair down there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Was that true in the default, or is that new for this one as well?
That's new. Might as well go all the way.
Oh yeah, speaking of, I appreciate that you at least spend a little bit of time having Jura strip Barnett down.
Yeah, she does that kind of a different way for every alt skin as well.
That's good.
Yeah, that was a good one.
In fact, there's two of them she pulls her pants down first, and then in the other three, boobs first.
Just in general, though, very good. Really gets the vibe that it's going for across. She does feel a lot more like warm and inviting compared to Meia, where with Meia, it feels like the screenshot you posted where it's her cold and alone in her like bedroom, her sleeping quarters. Which is it's very interesting that like that's come across just with the art and dialogue they have for it. But like, you do good work, man. You've given your wives plenty of love and attention, and it shows. I'm sorry, but also not sorry for giving you 6 weeks of notice to do this instead of 2 full months, but the effort was worth it, I would say.
Yeah, man, I'm happy with how they turned out. I mean, there's a little, there's some cut corners here and there, mostly for the sake of like posability, like the hems of their skirts and dresses and things. But overall, I like how they came out, and it's pretty nice. And again, I think they have enough. It's kind of become the year of the alt skin, but it's definitely like it's a full representation of them, and the way they've been portrayed in the source material. Again, I was just very happy to actually have some canon stuff to work with. Do either of you have any final comments on Meia Sleep Chemise and Jura Luxury Night?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think they're very well done alts for very well made characters. Even if they're not particularly to my taste, in any case. The costumes themselves are, just not the characters, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree. You already praised yourself for it, but giving them hair down there for these costumes was a good choice, just to show variety, especially if you play it offline, lets you choose your particular flavor of how you want to play with them. It's funny that we give players like very indirect control of things like that through these costumes.
Yeah.
But they always want more control. They just want a button that turns them around.
Well, so do we as developers. PCK doesn't have that.
Well, thank you very much for your praise. I think this completes the slate pretty nicely. And again, they just barely made it in on time. But as we mentioned, there was one more costume about halfway through the event who managed to slip in a costume I did not make, but I did christen. It is Toph from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Sleep like a rock, except I decided that name sucked. I told him it sucked, and he should call it Dirt Nap instead, and he agreed.
Absolutely banger name, by the way. I love that name so much.
Of course, in the files itself, it's just a Toph sleepwear. Yes. But David, what did you think? I know we've made it through all the projects that we actually worked on. Here's the final one by Spaceman, creator of Toph. What did you think?
So I was following Spaceman as he was doing this, and I really liked how it was going along the whole time. And I'm glad it made it into the game in time. Toph in general is just a character that I really, really enjoy because she's hilarious. Just like that personality, her quips, her jokes, they're so good. And this costume is no exception. Something I like a lot about it is the fact that she goes from like this whole like onesie sort of setup to like almost the most revealing underwear you could have. I found that quite amusing and very enjoyable.
Yeah, she talks about how like she basically doesn't wear anything to sleep anyway, so this is just like a very polite way for her to dress, you know, like if she's having tea late at night or something, I think. And then, you know, she just gets rid of it all in one go pretty much because logically there isn't anything else she could do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, all things considered, it's fairly simple and it's well done So like good on Spaceman for that. That's about all I have to say art-wise, and I've already sung my praises about her writing, so that's all I have to say. Actually, during the game I played with her, she commented on the poster in the feminine bedroom background. That line was really good too. Not a lot of use that do me.
How the fuck did she do that?
She like asks whose bedroom is this? I think there's a poster on the wall. Wouldn't do me much good.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to unfortunately start this by calling out the fact of Spaceman has a habit of Toph's costumes in particular showing up fashionably late. But luckily for him, even though she only got like 3 or 4 days of exposure on this trial run of the event, because the Sleepover event happens multiple times a year, it'll only be about 5 months before people get to see it online again. For the costume itself, posing really good, especially for her like removing items poses. They're like 2-frame animated poses, which is all you really need just to sell that sort of thing. I know for a lot of my characters, I've to this day cheapen out and only do it like, you know, character partially remove something and then in the next sprite, oh look, it's gone. So props to Spaceman for putting the effort in to have multiple like 2-frame animations. In my test games, more than one, she lost very quickly every time.
No.
I don't know if she has.
I mean, she is blind.
She is blind. I don't know if she has bad AI, or I didn't check, but I do know that the lower layer count hurts her really hard.
In my test game with her, she did fine. I think she was. Oh yeah, no. In my test game, she was the last one to lose.
Yeah, it's a very well done costume. The underwear choice, you're right, in that it is like the most revealing you can get. And yet, given what sort of like setting she comes from, it makes an odd amount of sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense for her. I
wrote in my notes that it was a sexy high set bottom. I do like the way it looks on the butt pose as well. But yeah, it is just kind of like a side tie bikini bottom. It doesn't really look like underwear. Did you want to make any other comments?
Yeah, like I feel like we do this a lot where it's just like we finish talking about Meia and Jura and then we talk about Toph specifically and we sort of don't have much to say. Revisiting Toph here, I paid attention to her dialogue and she holds up really well. She's just a very good character. it's a lot of fun to see her in a new light, so to speak. And all of her art is different because she has a different like hair tie and everything. So all of her art is newer. Well, like it hasn't really changed, but at the same time, it's a different look for her. She doesn't have the like headdress, or like not the same one.
I mean, I still have my thoughts to give. I was also taken by the big strip all at once that she had. That was very nice, very sexy to see. Surprisingly sexy in this costume. I got a lot more out of her than I remember getting in the standard costume. So I really like how it came out. Also, for extra appeal, for those into that, she has a pubic hair peak as well, of a different variety. The top isn't peeking out, the sides are on that bikini bottom. Very faint, but it is there.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you need some eagle eyes, ironically.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
She had a lot of references to vibrations throughout the setting, the scene going on. Maybe you could do a little bit more with that, just the sexual applications thereof. But overall, yeah, just a really appealing costume. Again, there's always going to be less to say when none of us worked on it. But Spaceman, ironically, has appeared on the podcast. He got there before David. Last thing I want to say is, this is what made me think of it for Meia. Again, use targeters' names. Meia and Toph had a lot to say to each other for like the whole game. I was not expecting that. I don't know when you wrote that, but yeah, they kept on having detailed conversations about their settings and their lore. But it was a little bit hard to follow at first because they didn't use their names during the must strip sequence. So please, that's my advice. Please do so. But do either of you have any final thoughts on Toph or any of these 9 sleepover costumes? Boy, that was probably too many. Maybe we should have cut out the ones that predated this event. But
nah,
that'll do it for now.
Don't forget, we have to talk about Caitlyn as well.
No, we don't. Cute.
I do have one more thing to say. The existence of the event reminded me that there are absolutely no wearable items for players that are outright pajamas, and so that gave me a collectible idea.
Yeah, coffee.
Shush. So that gave me a collectible idea, and I hope that you look forward to it when the sleepover event next rolls around.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I guess I should say, you have any future plans for sleepover costumes? Because I'm pretty much done with it. I'm done with all skins in general, I'd have to say.
At the risk of revealing too many of my cards, I do have future plans.
Wario?
We'll keep that a secret.
Wario Land 2 Wario, where he's just asleep for the whole game. Secret ending.
One of these days I'll get around to making the overalls costume for Wario. I need to update the WarioWare art first.
Nord, anything?
Well, as I have half a dozen characters to choose from, I think I would be most likely to want to give one to Dunban, or Zeke and Pandoria. Partially because not a lot of zero male characters made it to the first version of the event. So I would like to try and balance that out a little bit. I need to give Rosa one, because she needs a costume for every event, obviously. I wonder if when he has more free time, I think my mans wants to give Mari Setugaya one as well. Because Mari obviously has a costume for every event except this one, and even has 2 costumes for summer and 2 for Christmas.
I will catch up to the both of you.
But overall, I think this first version of the event was a success.
Absolutely.
The characters featured obviously got a massive play boost. And because the event happens multiple times per year, if you're listening to this and you're a developer and you think about giving your character a sleepover outfit, it'd be worth it if you want to give your character some more visibility for, 5 days every couple of months?
Mm-hmm. 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I mean, Meia and Jura got a lot of attention. So, I mean, I'm very grateful for that. And that was very validating to work furiously for those 5 weeks and for it to actually, tangibly pay off like that. So thanks to everyone who tried them out or rediscovered them. Everyone who was like, "Oh my God, they have pubic hair," and just all the reports coming in. It was a really nice event. I'm looking forward to it returning throughout the year. Lil David, anything?
No, I've said my piece.
All right. Well, you'll get to say your piece next episode as well.
Wonderful.
But yeah, I want to really thank you for coming on. You've been a nice guest. I'd like to have you back in the future as well. And Nord, thanks for coming on as always as well. It's this was a big one. We'll try to keep these alt events under control. I mean, we were inaugurating a brand new event, so there's going to be a lot of costumes. The next time it rolls around, I don't think we'll have 9 to talk about. But this was very nice, and I'm glad it was a success. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed the sleepover event, and you will continue to enjoy it in the future. So I'm your host, SPNanon. I will not be sleeping over. In fact, it's early in the morning for me. I think I'll take a stroll down this Manhattan street on December 4th at 6 a.m. So see you, everybody.